We're getting ready for our third in the series of our Nobska Lighthouse. Today we're going to paint fog. I'm creating the drawing, which includes a figure, and I'm doing the same sort of layout, the same profile of that strip of land, the road, the lighthouse, the house. I like these shapes. I like the shape of the water. I think it will serve us well for developing a scene that is about a misty, foggy New England day. You can see that the shapes are laid out with light lines. I don't need a strong line. Mixing up some yellow ochre, which is going to give a warmth to the sky, and I'm going to contrast that later, working dry into wet with a cobalt blue and a little bit of lavender, which is a color that has some white added to it. This yellow ochre is important to contrast that cooler, thicker gray that I apply in the second stage. You'll see in the finished painting how the two work well together to give a feeling of a sky behind a thick fog or a thick mist. This is the application of that cobalt blue and a bit of lavender, which has some opacity to it. As I'm applying it, I'm not putting it everywhere. I'm interested in that shape of the clouds. It's dissolving just above the lighthouse. I'm interested in leaving a few of those yellows untouched so that we see the empty sky behind them, especially just above the lighthouse. I'm working downward now into the landmass. Today's painting is what we call alla prima, in which there's no going back. This is pretty much all done in one sitting, and the entire painting from beginning to end takes probably 25-30 minutes. There's difficult challenges involved with this style of painting, which are, you have to get it close to perfect the first time. When you go back, you don't get the same soft edges. So I spend a lot of time mixing and testing the color to the right of the painting before I apply it into the sky. You saw me just now re-wet the page so that I have a little more time to mix and adjust and make sure that it's right. I'm going to work in now with that same, well, it's not quite the same. There's some cobalt blue mixed with burnt sienna now. However, you notice I've switched my brush. I'm using a smaller brush, a flat brush, which holds a lot less pigment. And I'm working into a wet area. So it's a dark application, but it's feathering out as I apply it. The edges are softening. And even though it's a dark area, it's going to be rather mysterious because of those soft edges. Carrying it right down to the road's edge where I'll stop, because I realize I need to work the house above, I need to work the land above the road, I need to spend some time there. So I'm going to stop from going down and start to finish up this upper section. Working into the lighthouse with a little more cobalt blue. We're working into a very wet area, so I'm using a small brush with thick paint, and I make a touch and I watch to see how it moves. If it's not moving too much, I'm pleased, and if it's moving a lot, I'll add a little more pigment to make sure that the paint is thicker, and then I'll test it again. So you can see I'm building in the lighthouse. Here's a section that's fortunate. It started to dry a little bit in this section. There's a bright yellow behind it. I can put a strong top to the peak of the lighthouse against this area. It's going to be a little bit of an exciting part of the painting to see the top of the lighthouse appearing above this misty, foggy stuff. So I'm giving a few details there while I can, adjusting them, making sure they work as best as I can with the surrounding area, and then I'll move on. The same sort of juicy, thick color is being applied to the house now, and painting it as I would paint a silhouette. I'm aware of the chimneys, I'm aware of the rooftops, I'm aware of the inside parts of the house as well, but I'm kind of neglecting them. I'm painting it more as I would a silhouette. The reason for this is I don't want too many details at that great distance. So this section gets built up rather quickly. The upper section is 99% complete. Got a bead just below the road. Tells me the color is still wet, still workable. And I'm going to start from there. A little bit more burnt sienna and come down to the water's edge and have a look at it then and see if I need to make any adjustments. Yeah, the road is white. It's the white of the paper. It won't stay this white. I'll either break it up a little bit or I might wash in a pale color. But I want it to be visible in the last stage of the painting because it's a wonderful line that carries us upward towards the lighthouse. That ascending line is a great compositional tool to carry the viewer's eye upward in a meandering fashion. It's a great line for this painting and for the other ones that we've done. You see now I've added some juicier color, a little more burnt sienna, a little warmer, and brought it right to the water's edge. Nice firm edge on the backwater. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to be painting a little brighter gray. Basically two colors in this gray, burnt sienna, cobalt blue. I'll be using a little bit more burnt sienna, a little bit more water as I paint the sand in front here. I'm trying to get some dry brush strokes there so I can get a feeling of reflected light or bouncing light or shimmering light that we might see on wet sand or that we might see in such a morning. Oh, here it is. Look at the shape of that water. It's just beautiful. It's maybe the most pleasing start I've had in this series. I feel I'm really getting to know the shapes better and better, and I like the way that this shape has emerged. It's all white right now, so I know it's not going to stay that way, but I think the satisfaction that you get in creating a good shape, accidentally or intentionally, doesn't really matter. You have a good shape here, and it's creating a feeling of low tide. So I'm going to be placing some color, soft, cool grays. Again, trying to get some dry brush, trying to get some white of the paper to sparkle there. Horizontal strokes as opposed to the diagonal strokes that I was using in the sandy area. These horizontal strokes help to create the feeling of the flatness of the water. It's a very calm, slow, ebbing tide, and I'm very conscious of the white that's the sea foam that's lapping up against the shore. The combination of this shape of the white and that shape of the road is really a great way to lead the eye through the painting. And I'm conscious of that as I'm painting, so I'm leaving it. It is a little unexpected, but I'm going to leave it because I like the way it's shaped up. So the painting is continuing here. Look at, we're almost done with 90% of this painting. I'm adding with a smaller brush some details to accentuate the shoreline, make it come forward a little bit more out of that misty area. I'm in the next stage we're going to be placing some stones and finally a figure into the painting, and hopefully achieve a misty, foggy New England feel to all of this.